Do you think giving everyone your perfect fix is saving time? It might actually be costing you trust, creativity, and the right problem itself. Hello again, and welcome to a bonus installment of The Thoughtful Beard, your go-to spot for insights, ideas, and a scally cap. Throughout our 5-part series, we explored how critical it is to identify the right problem before we jump into solutions. But what happens if you or someone on your team leads with a solution anyway? This video dives into the pitfalls of bringing a pre-baked fix to the table, plus what to do if you're the stakeholder who's being pitched. We'll also highlight some key indicators that a disagreement may really be about an unclear or misaligned problem, not the fix itself. Let's get into it. First, let's talk about when you come in with a solution already in mind. This will, first, cause resistance confusion. If people push back on your fix, you might think they disagree with the problem. In reality, they may fully acknowledge a problem, but see your approach as off target. As a result, the conversation shifts from, "Are we sure this is the right problem?" to "why your solution won't work." 2 is limited ideation and buy-in. By presenting only one fix, you limit broader brainstorming and stifle creativity. Stakeholders feel less ownership since they didn't help shape the solution, leading to weaker engagement. 3rd is implied distrust in stakeholder expertise. Another subtle risk is how it might be perceived by those whose job it is to solve the problem. Arriving with a done and dusted solution can feel like you don't trust or value their specialized skills. Even if unintentional, it can come across as, "I know better than you about your domain," causing resentment or hurt. That sense of being overshadowed or underappreciated can damage morale, making experts less willing to invest in the final solution. 4th is task execution versus true engagement. If you simply hand down a solution, your team or stakeholders become task executors. They can't map their contributions to a shared problem statement or intended value. Without clarity on why they're doing something, they can't challenge irrelevant tasks or pivot when new insights emerge. Now, flipping the perspective, someone came to you with a full-formed solution, but you're not convinced that the core issue is understood. How should you respond? Well, first, ask, what problem are we trying to solve? This helps them take a step back and clarify the deeper cause. Second, encourage a framework. Suggest a define or 5 whys by asking questions like, have we established facts? Do we know what the symptoms look like? Do we have a root cause identified? Could the symptoms come back if we implement your solution as proposed? 3, explore alternatives. Use prompts like, what other approaches could address the same problem, to spark broader thinking. And 4th, reiterate your support. Make it clear that you want to solve the issue. You just want to ensure it's truly the right one to fix. This kind of approach demonstrates that you're not shutting them down. You're guiding them towards a more robust problem definition to ensure a successful outcome. Whether you're pitching the solution or hearing it, you need to be able to spot the red flags that indicate you're stuck on a solution-first approach without alignment on the core issue with everyone involved. Keep an eye out for these 7 signs. First, the frequent, "we tried that already" responses. This suggests that a real disagreement might be about whether the solution ever tackled the actual root problem. Second, vague or conflicting reasons for doing something. When everyone cites a different rationale or none at all for why the fix is needed, this might be hinting that the problem statement is fuzzy. Third, repetitive, yes, but that won't fix X concerns. This might be indicative that there's a deeper or different root cause that's not addressed by this solution. Fourth, excessive focus on budget and resources early. When costs or deadlines dominate before you've agreed on the root cause, it's likely that there's misalignment on the value in solving the problem. Fifthly, confusion about who owns the issue. Lots of finger pointing or domain confusion typically means the problem wasn't clearly framed for the right stakeholder. Sixth is a lack of concrete metrics or desired outcomes. If no one can say how success will be measured, the group may not truly agree on what problem they're solving, and the outcomes will reflect that. And lastly, and seventh, discussion feels like task for task's sake. If the explanation boils down to because so-and-so said so, it's a strong sign that you're missing a shared problem definition. When you spot these indicators, you know it's time to pause, revisit the problem statement, and ensure everyone's on the same page. All that being said, here's the big payoff. When you have a clear and agreed upon problem statement, stakeholders willingly map their tasks to real value. They're not just doing what they're told, they're bringing all of their capabilities to bear because they understand why it matters. Stakeholders challenge activities that don't serve the problem, preventing wasted effort. And stakeholders take ownership of their contributions. Accountability flows naturally as each person can say, does this task truly solve the problem we're all aligned on? Without that clear problem, you have people executing tasks they don't fully grasp, and that means potential missteps go unnoticed, creativity is lost, and morale can tank. However, a clear problem statement that reflects the right problem breeds efficiency, confidence, and boosts morale. Not to mention realizes the value that the solution set out to deliver. So let's look at a real quick example. A team lead determines that missed deadlines are caused by poor communication. So they propose implementing a new collaboration tool. Some of the development team members push back saying, we tried that tool last year and it was so complicated. It's overkill for what we need. Now the tension is about the tool and its perceived flaws, not whether communication was ever the real problem. However, if the team lead takes a step back and says, hey, we believe the root issue is that we don't have a single source of truth for the work that needs to be done. Does that resonate with everyone? They might, through the discussions, discover that a simpler fix is just to define a better project board or to enforce a process for consistent meeting notes. The team can propose alternatives once they agree that the problem is no shared communication on projects, rather than just rolling out an expensive or complicated new product again. So leading with a solution can cause confusion, resistance, or superficial buy-in. If you're pitched a solution, focusing on the problem first not only clarifies the real issue, but also can reveal better, more inclusive fixes. And remember those key indicators. If you spot them, it's a clue to pause and align on the problem before locking in a fix. So here are your 3 key takeaways. 1, clarify the problem every time. 2, don't conflate pushback on your solution with disagreement about the issue. And thirdly, keep an eye out for the red flags that say, we haven't agreed on the root cause. Thank you for watching this bonus segment from The Thoughtful Beard, your source for insights, ideas, and of course, a scally cap. If this struck a chord, share a time you saw solution first thinking blow up, or how you as a stakeholder guided a conversation back to the real problem. And if you haven't checked out our main 5-part series, I highly recommend it for a deeper dive on how to get to the right problem. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and remember, a solution without a clear problem is just another task waiting to fail.